Hi, it's Rachel. I have been steadily seeking after truth, the truth, for over 12 years. And along that path, especially toward the end, I met divine love. And when I look back from the very beginning, it was always leading me to really know what it was because divine love is God. It is not all that He is, but it is one of His most significant traits. God is spirit. He's like a realm. He is perfection and wisdom and truth and righteousness. And divine love and understanding it helps you to understand the very essence of God. And along that journey, what you find is that there is, when you start to truly move into love, divine love, you start to see the essence of creation, of others, of God, of animals, of yourself, instead of the image. Okay, the image is just the outside exterior flesh covering. And it's just an image, okay? It's passing away, it's fleeting. But if you look beyond that, which you can only do when you start to love, because seeing the essence of someone or whatever creature it is, no matter what flesh is covering that spirit, you look through that flesh and you see that spirit in that flesh is holding. Okay, and that is true with, for start with God. There are a lot of truths, okay, and things that you can learn about God. And God is spirit. And on your journey of seeking God out of death, death is also bound in images. So you start moving out of death, out of images, and you start moving into love and into the essence. So you start seeing God without images and just in spirit. A lot of us come to Him with a lot of images around Him. And so that is the journey of seeking and what it leads you to when you're really seeking what truth is, because truth is the playing out of divine love. Okay, it is when that divine love is your standard, is your footing, then you can start understanding the truths, the wisdom by which to live, okay? Because it's all connected to it, so it's very important. So what you start seeing is the essence of things and no longer the image. This world has been destroyed by images. That's where prejudice comes from, and a lot of judgments. We judge someone simply on the image they present us. And it keeps us in those judgments, keeps us from ever seeing their essence. So you can't love them. Loving an image isn't love at all because it's not even real. It's not the true aspect of a creation. And so you have to get past the images of God, of animals, of people, of everything that is living, that everything that is of God's creation. And when you start seeing the essence, then you can start to truly love. For example, you can see just my image here, okay? And people make all kinds of judgments, right? But to just see my image, you don't really know me, okay? And so you can't really, if you say that you love me, but you just know my image, then your love is very thin. It's a lie. It's not really love. Love is a deep care. It's a concern. It's a knowing. And so even though, for example, if you are in divine love and you understand that, even though you don't deeply know me, you're able to look past my image and see my spirit. And when you can truly see my spirit, then that's when you can truly love me. Okay, and that's how it is with everyone, all creation. So you have, in divine love, you stop looking at the outward covering. Okay, the outward covering of someone can tell us certain things, certainly. Okay, but again, it's having that ability to look beyond them. So when you start doing that in creation, you start to love. When you start doing that with God, beyond what He does for you, beyond what you expect of Him, and you start to see Him who He truly is, you start to see love. Okay, and it is so perfect, and it is so powerful, and it is healing to your soul when you start moving in love, when you start seeing your essence and start loving that essence. Okay, that means you care for your soul. And in that, when you really see the essence, then you naturally, what follows is you care for the flesh. So when I truly start loving the essence of who I am, start caring about that person, honoring her, respecting her, right? Doing what is kind. And so many people don't treat themselves that way. And so you can tell by how they treat their outward flesh. Because when you truly love the essence, then you take care of this tent that you're in, because your essence is being held in that tent. Okay, so that is, and you honor all of it, the entire entity. So this is very, very important if, one, you want to come to truly know who God is, because you have to keep seeking past the images to where you can truly see the essence, where you know you're seeing pure spirit. And so when you really come into that place with God, then you don't want anything that you do to harm that spirit of God. So that means you want to walk in His ways. You want to walk according to His will, which is perfect love. So that's the heart that you have. And so it is purely for that spirit of love that is so gentle. You don't want to be doing anything that's counter that would harm that spirit. That is truly loving God. And you don't want to have thoughts, your actions, anything in your heart, nothing that would hurt that pure, beautiful love that entity has towards you. To really feel the love of God, you have to start understanding what love is. And that is a big part of our path and journey here. And it is an amazing thing when you do. And that's when you truly come and start understanding the ways of God, understanding how you're to live, where His wisdom comes from, what righteousness means, what justice means, what mercy means, what forgiveness means, because it's all attached to that divine love. And so you do that with God, you do that with yourself, you do that with other people. You stop looking at the exterior and you start to see the very essence, the very spirit of them. That is the eternal part. That is the part that you see the Creator's reflection. Okay, and some people who are very bound by this world, it's sometimes hard to get through to see their essence, because they're very harsh on the outside. Okay, they have a lot of walls, they have a lot of defenses, but you start to get that ability to truly see them. And then when you can love them where they're at that essence, it's like the purest part of them. It is their potential to be the son of God, to be a daughter of God, to be a beautiful creation. You know, it's like everybody, when they're born, they come out with this innocence. Okay, there is an innocence that has been greatly marred and taken from people by living in this world. Okay, and how they've been treated and all these different things. So it's getting past all of that hurt and pain that a lot of people wear on their exterior and treat you with, and getting into that very pure love. Okay, and now what you do is you do the same thing with the animals. Okay, and this is what you start to see. The animal kingdom, when you look beyond their flesh, okay, beyond their flesh tent, just like you do with yourself, others, and God, you do the same with them. What you see are tremendous spirits. And I am learning that they are spirits that have been given to us to teach, for companionship, to nurture. They're ministering spirits, especially the meeker animals, okay? And the sad thing about that is that the meek ones are the ones that we treat the worst, that we abuse the most. And it is extremely sad because we are judging by their flesh that they aren't worthy, okay, and that they're less. But when you look into their spirits and you start seeing their essence, they're an incredible spirit. And you see the reflection of the Creator in them, and that is never a spirit that you would ever want to harm. Because as you love God, you love them. Because you see that same love in them. You see that love of the Creator when you see that spirit essence. And so obviously you don't want to eat them, you don't want to wear them, you don't want to abuse them, you don't want to test on them, you don't want to treat them cruelly at all, but instead you want to honor them and respect them, and you want, if anything, to be closer to that spirit because they are so incredibly beautiful. And some of you probably have pets and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can come to start seeing a pet. It can be very ministering. There's so many different animal therapies out there. They are ministering spirits to the human race. That's what they were intended to be. So when we treat them cruelly, the very opposite of what they are desiring to, they're desiring to connect to us in love. But we come up at them in cruelty. We want to eat their flesh. That's all we see. We just see them as flesh. We just see the tent. That is not a reflection of what a child of God would do, because if you're truly of God, you know love. If you don't know love, you don't know God. You're still holding on to an image. But that is all of our journey. We are all walking this path, but this is what we must continue and to push into, and not ignore these messages to understand what this love is, just because it's a word that's been so abused and misused and overused. Because when you start seeing those animals, then you can start receiving so much for your spirit from their spirit. And it is absolutely beautiful. And it is never anything that you want to harm. You just do not want to harm them. You will do your best to protect them. And in this world, the way that it is structured is based on so much cruelty and suffering that's sometimes hard to do. But when you know that divine love, that is how you feel. You see the essence of every living creation and you just want to love them. That's when you know God. That's when you know you're in divine love. That is when you really know what true love is. And that is true with all of creation. And the animal kingdom has learned to fear us, and for great reason, because we treat them very cruelly. Very cruelly. We are heartless, cold and cruel toward them. And if this is the thing, so if we are acting that way, one, that's showing that we don't know what divine love is at all. Okay, if we can treat another living creation that way, we are far from love. And two, we are Every time you do that, when you hurt a spirit that is desiring to connect in love, then you are greatly harming yourself. So people are suffering in different ways, in different relationships, with their health, just finances, whatever it may be. But the reason you suffer is because you're feeding suffering. You're like in this suffering pot, okay? And it's the pit. It's where we all have to come out. It's a lower realm of the mind that you exist in when you operate in death, when you only see in images, when you have no idea of seeing the essence of things or loving them. So the idea is to come out of that pit, to come into a place in a new mind, a spirit mind, where now you do see those things, new perspective, new eyes, new vision. And that is one of the main things that you see. So that's how you know, okay, who really knows God, the true God. And maybe in the next video I'll get a little bit more into that reflection in the Bible. But in this one, I really want to make this aware because we have been grown up and sown our mind in death. And when I bring up these different things and we learn these different things as we go along our path and our journey about, wow, we have been treating creation horribly, okay? Every entity, God himself, because we constantly rebel and do things and don't think anything of it. When you know divine love, it hurts. When people are harmful to you, it hurts. Now you have forgiveness, you have compassion, you have understanding, but that doesn't remove the pain. But when you're in divine love, you never want to cause another spirit, no matter what flesh they're in, or if they're beyond flesh like God, you never want them to feel pain or hurt. And so that is a testimony that you know the true God when you have that kind of a love. And I'll dive more into my next video.